on the go all the time. So I
Well,
don't
that's the
like,
thing, yeah, because my mindset's changed. When I was young, I was always like, no, as soon as you can, go out and work. You need to learn how to graft, and you need to. But then I look back and I think that's all I've been doing my whole life. I've been working and grafting and getting on and getting experience and moving around in careers and what have you. That's what my whole life is going to be about. So if they have a little bit of a break now, it's not such a bad thing. So my mindset's changed. I was always like, no, as soon as they turn 16 and they get their national insurance, that's it. They should be out doing a job. But actually, they are going to be doing that for the rest of their life. So, now is the time to pick up on those skills that you won't be able to do when you're working. Build on yourself, build, self-develop and do those things. And I hope sleep's not one of them.
Even though they do need rest.
Yes.
There's boundaries.
Yes, absolutely. So listeners, we are live on air, reaching out to all our listeners in Luton and surrounding areas through the airwaves at Inspire FM 105.1 FM. We are also streaming live on the Facebook page, where you must give the show a thumbs up and also can comment on today's topic. And as always, I am taking in WhatsApp and text messages on the studio number 07779 481 822. So if you do have anything that you'd like to share with us, please do drop us a message on either WhatsApp or text there. Now, in today's show, my guest and I will be discussing a very pertinent topic to us women. It's all about perimenopause and menopause. Now, the symptoms can have a huge impact on our lives. Sometimes they just creep up on us. And, I think that's why we've got the lovely perimenopause that's slowly indicating our body that it's going to go through changes. But it impacts not just, our daily life and things that we do in it, but the relationships around us, our social life, our relationship with our spouses, family, and also our work. So, I just want to make it clear that neither Hasna or I are medical experts in this field. We are just going to have a good chin wag about perimenopause and give you the real drill for anyone that's suspecting that they're entering it, what to expect, what changes are going through, the highs, the lows. So it's all just talking about it from our own perspective, our own experience. And I have a list here of people that have got in touch with me and shared things that have just gone completely AWOL in their life, and things that have gone on the positive, and steps that they've done to make changes in their life to adopt this hormonal imbalance and change in their life. So again, if you do feel that you require any medical attention, advice or anything like that, please do reach out to your local GP for help and advice on that. Now, before I delve into my questions and we go into our discussion, I think the listeners would probably want to hear a little bit about yourself, Hasna. So if I can get you to please introduce yourself to the listeners.
Brilliant. Thank you, Neelum. Firstly, I would just like to emphasize the same as you said. I'm not a medical advisor or in the medical field at all. It's just from my experience or what I think is benefiting and what the implements I'm taking that's helping me. So I'm Hasna. At the moment, I'm a transformational life coach. My expertise is I've been a carer for the past 19 years.
Wow.
So that's where my expertise lies. I've come across many carers, many parents with special needs children. And the one thing that I've noticed is every single parent is suffering from severe anxiety, depression, identity loss, mindset. Their whole life is turned around. And it's something that really thought, well, I've experienced this. For all the new moms that experienced this, I don't want them to go through, even the older moms, I don't want them to go through the same thing. If I've been able to shift my life around, you still have your ups and downs. I want to be able to do that to other parents as well, mom, dads, families, carers, everyone. So that's what shifted me to go and take that career change. Prior to that, I did take a long break after I had my 9-year-old at the moment.
Oh, wow.
So before that, I was a makeup artist for about 3 years.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed that. That was more like a hobby and a passion, working my hours. And that kind of gave me that me time. Before that, I had management experience in retail. So I was a deputy manager for a jeweler's, worked there for several years, really enjoyed that. But when they did offer me a management position, it was my second daughter was born. So I had to kind of give up my job.
Oh.
And that's when things really changed for me. But I still carried on,
Mhm.
carried on, carried on, carried
Mhm.
on. Yeah, so that's pretty much. I can go on for the whole day, but I'm just
Yeah,
going to
I
stop
know.
there.
Well, you know, I mean, you are a lady that wears many hats. You know, you're not only just, you know, trying to make a professional life for yourself, but you're giving your time as a mum to your children as well. And in all of that, you know, we're going through all these changes in lives and, you know, our emotions. And I guess that, you know, the one thing that your role as a carer must have really shown to you is the appreciation of life, you know, valuing what we do have, you know, seeing those people and caring for those people that didn't have what we do have. So, you know, I find I take my hats off to carers and nurses, because I think you see life from a different perspective to us. You know, we wake up and we see healthy people around us and we just get on with our lives. But you are going into work and seeing somebody that can't actually physically do anything for themselves, and you are there to support them. So it's changed your perspective. And, you know, how did you deal with that from an emotional perspective, you know, going in and just helping that person?
I'm a carer for my daughter. I'm not a carer working, so carer for my daughter. So it was, to be honest, when she was diagnosed, it's like, you know, you have like hospitals and you have sick people and all that, and the neonatal care unit, you know, it's there.
Yeah.
But when you physically go into it and you see those, you know, tiny little babies that are in incubators, having oxygen, the parents, and then sometimes death as well. When I was there was one death, and it just, you never know, it could be you.
Wow.
So you're literally praying for the parents to get through this, the babies to get through this. And then it doesn't matter what hospital you go to, you meet
a different person.
Every, you know, person that's different, every child that's different. Some are getting discharged, they fit in well and they're okay to go home. Some are like having surgeries, it's a life-threatening surgery. So, and then you start talking to all these parents and you kind of form a bond. So over the years I've met many parents, and it's just nice to kind of be in that same page.
Yeah.
But slowly you do kind of lose your own identity, because you're, as you said, you wear so many hats, you sometimes forget what hat you're wearing.
To wear. Yeah.
And then it's not you're a wife as well, you've got your husband, then you've got your family, and then everything that's going around your family. But your main priority is your child that has the medical condition, but then you've got other children as well. So you're balancing it all. So I'm a mum to a 23-year-old, then I'm a mum to a 19-year-old, then I'm a mum to a 9-year-old. So it's like, okay, you're having a mature conversation with your 23-year-old. The 19-year-old, you have to be quite, you know, delicate around her because she's quite sensitive. And then the 9-year-old, you're like, you know, she's the baby of the house. So it's like, it is hard. It's hard balancing just the motherhood itself.
Wow. So you've got a good spectrum of age range of children there. So you've got years of experience that you could share with us, because I've got much less 6 children, but the first 5 are quite close in age, and then they start staggering. And the youngest, my last baby, was a surprise baby. So she's got quite a big age gap between the youngest and her. And so, but it was nice. She came in lockdown, and, you know, we were all able to treat her as our new little pet. She wasn't a baby, she was a pet. So it was amazing. So you know,
my last was a surprise as well. So, and she's the youngest in the family. Like my sister's kids are all older as well, so she's literally pampered so much. And she's 9 years old, she's still the baby of the family, and you sometimes think, are you a 1-year-old or 2-year-old?
Are you going to ever let her grow? That's I know, that's how I see it as well. But I'm trying to cherish every single moment with her. Everything she does is a ooh and ah moment at the moment in her life. Now, listeners, if you have tuned in, where have you been? We are talking about perimenopause. We are going to get to the topic, but I am with the lovely Hasna this morning, and we are going to be talking about the midlife reboot, taking that pause and the changes that goes on in our body. And again, we are talking about this from our own experience, from things that we've heard about from other people around us, and there is no medical expertise from either myself or Hasna on this. It's just real talk, and it's, you know, the symptoms and the things, the changes and everything. So if you have anything that you'd like to share with us this morning around this topic, please do message in on the studio number 0779 481 822. Now, I guess the first question to ask, really, which, you know, perimenopause, this is a word that I've only probably learned in the last 5 years. For my whole life, I've been aware of just menopause.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. It was
Same,
menopause
same.
that lasted for 20 years of your life, and that was it. But we actually have perimenopause.
Yeah, menopause, postmenopause.
Yes. And so, you know, perimenopause is the early stages of menopause, which, you know, when I found this out and I did my research around it, made so much more sense, because I thought, yes, you know, these symptoms do come a lot sooner. And, you know, as soon as you hit your mid 40s, you start feeling change, but you're in denial about change and you don't want to think about the change. So you just think, no, but as soon as I've hit 50, I'll start thinking about it. And often it can be a bit late to think about it at 50. So the perimenopause has come up in the last couple of years in my life, but it's literally the symptoms before going through menopause. So it's the early stages of menopause and the changes that women are experiencing. Now, I wanted to ask, you know, when did you start thinking, hold on a second, something's changing here in my life? I'm not feeling like the 21-year-old that I was before. I mean, mashallah, you have a 23-year-old and you still look amazing. So, you know, how, you know, when did you start experiencing that?
As you said, in denial. I wish I started researching that in my 30s, because I started just after COVID. So when I was about 40, 41. But obviously it's like, oh, it can't be right. Way too young. That didn't even cross my mind, menopause or anything like that, or perimenopause. As you said, it was just menopause. I didn't know about perimenopause or early stages or anything like that. So I was just constantly doing pregnancy tests.
Oh, wow.
I can't be pregnant. I can't be pregnant. I'm done with. I've got 3 kids. And how my body was changing, because I've been through so much stress over the years. You know, I have up and downs, and I had severe anxiety, chronic depression. So it's like, okay, my body's changing. I was putting on weight, so much weight. It was just rapidly putting on weight. Usually when I do put on the weight, within sort of 3 months, I'm able to shift a stone quite easily with, you know, the right diet, exercise, and I'm quite active. But nothing was shifting, and bloatiness, brain fogs, lethargic. I've got thyroid issue. It's kind of like on the borderline underactive thyroid, but that shouldn't make a huge impact to that extent. So yeah, I just kept kind of doing pregnancy tests about 3-4 times, and then irregular, your cycle was changing. So it's like, I think for about a year, I was just like doing that. My husband was just like, it's okay, don't worry, you know, you're putting on weight, you're going to shift it. Guys, they don't even have no idea anyway. So it's probably the thing is just the stress you're going under, just relax and everything. So I was trying to do all those exercises and everything, but nothing was really working. So I had blood counts done and everything, and the doctor said it could be like you're, you know, reaching early stage of menopause, but you're still really young. But some can start, but obviously that just went through 1 year out the other. Because my sister, she was at a later stage as well, but I did see the symptoms in her. And my mom, to be honest, I don't know, I can't remember. I was a lot younger, but I think it was just hot flushes, so she probably didn't go through all this. And then when I started researching more, I just thought, oh my God, this is what it is. It makes sense. Prior to all that, you're diagnosing yourself with everything under the sun. Manic depression, am I bipolar?
Wow.
You know, it's
this
like,
is it.
have I got this? Have I got that? And everything you're diagnosing yourself. Google is great, but sometimes it can
be dangerous.
overwhelming, and you start thinking,
you link things to yourself and you think, oh, maybe I've got that. It's dangerous. So
I've had blood counts, which I think is so important, because then you can kind of think, okay, I've got this, I haven't got that. So I was on the borderline of underactive thyroid, and my cholesterol was high. So you're trying to balance one thing, fix your thyroid, but then your cholesterol is high. So I was doing all those things in the last 2 years. Joined exercise classes. Everyone was shifting weight, but in a month I was eating well, I was exercising, I was doing my step. I think I lost about 1 pound or so.
Wow.
But then I put like 2 kgs back on again, so it just didn't make no sense at all. And then it was like, okay, that's it, I'm just going to keep eating and let it happen.
Enjoy life.
Nothing's changing. I've got a slip disc in my lower back as well, so the pain started to get really bad again. I was managing it with exercise and healthy eating and just being mobile. And then my arthritis started on my knee. So it was like I was kind of like bedridden for several weeks. Like I couldn't really move around and all that. But then I thought, okay, let me just start the light exercise and everything. So yeah, I think in the last year, I can confirm I've hit the perimenopause stage.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting because, you know, as you said, you were doing all this research to try and find out what it could possibly be, and you know, the obvious wasn't sticking out to you, and that is the case. You know, I think it's quite an emotional change in our life. And you know, when I look back and I think about menopause, I don't know about yourself, but I mean, I know you touched on it slightly, but your mum, you don't even recall your mum going through it, which just, you know, it just shows the power of the women of that generation. They just were soldiers and they trooped through it. But you know, later on in life, they struggled. There was emotions that they struggled with. There were things that were going on in their life that they wish they had addressed at our age. So, you know, I've spoken to so many women from my mum's generation now that say, don't suffer in silence, don't ignore it, address it now. And it's so important that we do address it. And, you know, it's a stage of life. And I think it's just how we embrace it, because, you know, it's I'm going to stop. I think, you know, we all know I don't want any more children after 40, you know, that's it. But then to be told that you're not going to have any children, or you can't have any children, that's quite an emotional, for a woman, it's very an emotional stage of life to accept. And that's just one aspect. You know, there's other things that we, you know, I know that the menstrual cycle stops, and a lot of women look forward to that because they think it's a break. I can take a pause from the normality of life and just take that break. And not having that break is going to be like, wow, for the next God knows how many years of my life, I'm just going to be go. I guess, you know, you've touched on some of the symptoms, and I think what the listeners would really love to hear, I mean, a lot of women talk about emotional ups and downs, and, you know, having mood swings and anxiety. Do you feel that, you know, you've experienced this has probably got worse with it all now?
Most definitely. My anxiety, I thought I was managing it, and I was managing it well, but all of a sudden the anxiety was just sky high. I stopped driving, but I couldn't figure out why I wouldn't. I drive safely. I'm a good driver. I've been driving for God knows how many years. And it was just like, just to get on the road, I just got really anxious. And it was just like, oh, you know, drivers are not safe. I could be driving safe, but it's other drivers. If any cars pass me while I'm driving, it's just a shake. So I couldn't understand why that was happening all of a sudden. But that was putting on extra pressure on my husband, because he was having to drop me off places, or my daughter, but she's working as well. So, and then the depression, like, okay, I've got things in place. I'm starting my coaching career. I was so excited, so happy, but all of a sudden, why is there a dip in my mood? So all those things, my heart rate sometimes used to go to 140, 150. So it's like, okay, I can manage that with breathing exercises, meditation, all this thing. But why is it happening? Why is all of a sudden like my heart rate just jumping, especially at night, the night sweats heart rate? So none of it kind of really made sense until I kind of acknowledged and took it in, right, okay, this is perimenopause. My severe anxiety has increased. How do I manage that? My depression has increased. How do I deal with that? I did go and see a hypnotherapist for my driving, but that was before perimenopause. There was a slight, it was because of my back and my leg. I kind of got a bit scared, what if I trigger it? So it was just to get the fear out of that. But I think even that stage was the perimenopause, but I wasn't.
You didn't focus on
I
that.
didn't focus on that at all. So that helped to a certain extent. And then I was back on the road again. But then it got really bad. So now I'm driving again. And I'm okay because I've acknowledged it. And I know I'm a safe driver. I know what it is. I know how to manage my anxiety, because I think I've took it in. It's the perimenopausal stage. Now, what's the best way to deal with it? And I think the first thing anyone should kind of do is have the blood counts, acknowledge it. This is the stage that you're entering. And it doesn't, I've had ladies that are in their 30s that have started. And I wish I've researched more in my 30s, so I could have been prepared, because I was thinking 50 plus. Then, as you mentioned, most of us probably were. And our mothers did go through it all, but I think it was such a it was still a taboo, such a silent. It was embarrassing. They weren't really speaking to anyone. They had so much on their plates. Like, I can remember when I was younger, we had house full all the time. Like, my mum was just cooking constantly, feeding people, everything. And it was just so normal for us. So to have guests in our house all the time, and things have changed. So it's good that we're talking about it, but I think there's still a lot
of changes to be made. And I think, and that's what I really hope to achieve in today's show, that, just having a conversation about it, and even listening to you and your story, it's normalizing it, because so many women are going through it. The anxiety about driving. I was just going to touch on that, because I spoke to about 4 women, and I drive fine. And in the last year or so, my anxiety of going on the motorway has, just kicked in, and I just don't like motorway driving. And, I thought I was alone, and I thought I need to shift this, but I spoke to 3 other women, and they're like, yep, oh gosh, it's after having kids, lost that confidence. So that's, interesting there. Listeners, now we are going to head over to, believe it or not, a short commercial break. We have finished the first half of the show. If you have just tuned in, don't worry, we are going to be discussing more around perimenopause, juggling work, family and symptoms, and then looking at, hopefully, ways that Hasna and people that I've spoken to have looked at coping with the perimenopause, and give you some tips around that as well. If you do want to reach out to us and share any of your own experiences, anything that you're facing, or just giving us a heads up on how you're feeling around this, please do message in on the studio number 0779 481 822. For now, go refill your hot brew and join us after a short commercial break. Assalamu alaikum.
This program will continue after the break. Continue listening to Inspire FM. Inspire FM.
Inspire 105.1 FM.
Hello, this is Zafar Khan. I'm chairman of Luton Council of Faiths. I'm Thakur Morarji. I'm a member of Luton Sai Centre.
I'm Maureen Borbone from Holy Family in St John's Parish, and I'm also a trustee of Grassroots.
My name is Farzad. I am from the Luton Baha'i Faith community. We all are listening to Inspire FM 105.1 FM.
Landlords, let us take away the hassle of letting your property. Our comprehensive services include tenant vetting, rent collection and service charges, maintenance and repairs. Ideal Properties has 2 branches and have been established over 20 years and have gained a wealth of knowledge and experience.
If you are thinking of selling or letting your property, then speak to a member of our knowledgeable team about a free, no-obligation market appraisal.
We can also offer guaranteed rental income.
Contact us on either Luton 721110 or 696050. Ideal Properties. Service with a smile, whatever your needs.
Universal Clutches on Cosgrove Way in Luton offer more than just clutch repairs. We also now cover MOTs, servicing, brakes, suspension, and vehicle recoveries. We've got you covered whether you drive a manual or semi-automatic car, van, or truck. We aim to provide a quick and reliable service, and Universal Clutches are an AA and RAC approved garage. For a reliable service you can trust, call 01582 876 300 or find Universal Clutches on Google, Instagram, and Facebook.
Looking for an unforgettable start to summer? Then join us for our spectacular Faith and Fields Eco Camping Festival for all the family. Set in the beautiful Willowbrook Farm in Oxfordshire. Enjoy many spiritually uplifting talks and reminders from renowned speakers including Yahya Burt, Dr. Miriam Francois, and others. Activities including archery, African drumming, arts and crafts, a mega inflatable slide, and a nasheed concert with stars like Mecca Medina, Khalid Sadiq, and many others. Tickets are selling fast. Search ISB Faith and Fields to book now and use promo code INSPIRE for a special discount. Make your summer unforgettable.
Need a ride? Village Taxis has you covered. Going to the airport, station, work, hospital or school? Call Village Taxis on Luton 250 250 for a quick, reliable service. New drivers wanted. Get registered today and join the Village Taxis team, serving Luton, Central Beds, TfL, Wolverhampton, Hertfordshire and beyond. Taxi rental also available. Download our easy-to-use Village Taxis app or call on 01582 250 250 to book your ride today. Village Taxis, your local taxi company.
Can you imagine losing your parents and seeing your home destroyed? Thousands of children in Gaza have lost one or both of their parents. Agosh UK invites you to sponsor an orphan in Gaza and provide them with life-changing care, protection and hope. Let's help orphans to rebuild their lives. Donate your zakat and sadaqah for an orphan in Gaza today. £500 per year or £42 per month. Visit Agosh UK.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Yusuf Aslam. I am the founder and director of Amazing Magazine. I'm here today with Inspire FM 105.1. Please continue to listen to them and support them. They're doing amazing work for Muslims around the country.
From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 10:30.
Good morning and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Mother's Planet. It's Friday, 27th of June, and the time has now just gone 10:30. I'm your host, Neelum, and joining me on the show this morning is my guest, Hasna. Assalamu alaikum. Now, earlier in the show, Hasna and I were discussing about the midlife reboot and taking a pause. The emphasis of talking about this, because many women suffer in silence, and as a result of suffering in silence, it's having a knock-on effect on other things and other areas of our lives. And this could be relationships, this could be our ability to work, and keeping up with the pace of work as well. So talking about this and making it real, and knowing that other women are going through similar symptoms, and that these hormonal imbalances and changes in our life is normal, will only just uplift other women. And I emphasized earlier in the show that neither Hasna or myself are medical experts in this field. We are just women. We are talking about the changes that happen in our life, and embracing these changes. And from a religious perspective, and from a normal women's perspective, how actual society perspective, how these changes are impacting our lives, and how our faith is keeping us steadfast on these changes, because it's not something that we've started to discover in the last 100 years. Women for centuries, even in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, were going through these changes and dealt with these changes and asked questions around these changes. And, the discussion was happening then. It's just maybe not being talked about enough now, as much as it probably was in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So, we can only move on and make these changes if we make our knowledge in this field a bit more better. So, I hope that answers a lot of questions out there that people are probably thinking, why are we discussing this today? We need to discuss this because if we don't discuss it, then, many will suffer in silence, and the knock-on effect is terrible, especially now, with mental health and well-being being, peak of our lives, where we have to address these concerns. Now, Hasna was sharing some of her symptoms that she just put down to other things and not perimenopause at all. And now having discovered, and like myself, only discovering in the last couple of years, that perimenopause is a thing, and it does exist. And she's now been able to sort of put the pieces of the puzzle together and realize what's going on with her body. Now, one of the things you mentioned was sleep. How is your sleep?
My sleep has been terrible. Well, over the years it has been terrible, because obviously, due to my daughter, she used to be poorly regular, so my sleep pattern, so as to make up for my sleep during the day when my husband was at home before he went to work. But the last few years my sleep has been terrible. So because I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't going to bed, so I used to be downstairs for ridiculous hours because I wasn't able to sleep. As soon as you go to bed as well, you're tossing and turning, and then the night sweats. So it's like, just not to sweat, I'm just like, staying downstairs, you're just flicking through TV, not even enjoying it half the time, but just so you don't want to toss and turn in bed. And then sort of sleeping throughout the day. And then it was like, it just seemed like my day was going, and it's like, okay, what am I doing with my day? I need to really shift that. I've tried supplements, magnesium. Magnesium wasn't really, on its own, it wasn't really working for me because it was making me feel more sleepy. It's good for sleep, magnesium. But when someone's not sleeping, I thought that's going to help me, but it was just making me really sleepy. And even when I'm sitting on the sofa, I used to like fall asleep. But that was to do with my lack of iron as well. So
iron,
maybe once everything's balanced, I might try magnesium again. But my sleep is so much better now because I've started to exercise. I've started to go to netball, go to Zumba. I'm more active. We trying to do more events for our Women Connecting Women. That's an organization that I'm part of. We organize ladies events. We're having a coffee morning this week. Monday.
Yes, we are going to talk more about that. I would love to hear a bit more
Yes.
about this. Yes, because it's things like that are open to the community and the women in our community that makes things really exciting for women to look forward to, and you've picked the right times as well, because you want to do it where you're not compromising your day. So it's lovely to hear. But we are going to have that in detailed discussion. I wanted to ask about how it's been talking to the family. Obviously a lot of women, we've talked about our parents and our mum's generation and how they went through this change in their life as part of it's just the norm for them. They thought it was just something that they have to embrace and do in silence. And I do recall my mum later on in her life suffering from migraines a lot, which was something she never had when we were young, and it was a change that she had. So I do recall my mum not feeling very well, but just looking at her thinking, oh, she's just had headache, and that was it. And I'm upset because I wish my mum had spoken to me and told me I'm going through this and I need some support, and this is what's happening to my body. I think if I had known about it, I could have been maybe a bit more supportive, because we just let it be. She would just get up and wrap a shawl around her head and say, right, that's it, I'm going to get up and cook for the masses, and get on and do the things that I need to do. But inside she was struggling and she was suffering, and I wish my mum had spoken about it. And this is why I want to have this platform, this space, and I think events like what you're running is giving women that freedom and to express and talk about these changes in their lives, and this is how it's impacting them, so that they can educate the younger generation. How's that been for you with an older daughter that's 23? Have you had a discussion with her? Have you talked to her about this is what mum's facing and I'm just needing some support in some areas of my life? How's that relationship been?
I'm very open with my girls. We basically talk about everything. So my husband the same as well. So they are aware, like, sometimes they'll ask me like, Mum, are you in a good mood? Can we have a chat? Or are you going through your perimenopausal mood? So they're aware of and they know the changes that's happening. At the beginning, because I wasn't aware as well, they just thought, oh my gosh, she's just getting so stressed. She needs to calm down. You need to just rest, relax, and say no more often to people, like all these things. But because they didn't really know what was going on, they just thought, my husband thought, oh my God, my wife is changing. What is she becoming? And I couldn't explain it myself, but all I kept saying was, I'm so stressed because I have a child with special needs. I have all this. I have my younger daughter, she wasn't really enjoying school much, and there was bullying issues going on and everything. So I just assumed it's all that. And it's not till I said, okay, this is what I'm going through. So I may have good days, bad days. You may see me sleeping like or resting awkward times. Some days I may not be able to cook. I'm just not, so, or you have to understand that my body is going through changes, and they've all been really supportive, but it's only because I've been able to talk to them. If I didn't talk to them openly, they wouldn't have any idea. And I think with our mothers, they probably thought it's just normal for them and they need to get through. So what is there to talk about? Because this is part of being a woman. This is part of, this is the stage that we go through, and you're going to get over it. But if you have the right support and you're talking to your family and friends, everyone knows what you're up to, like why you're doing certain things certain way, why you're behaving certain way, why you need to rest throughout the day. And you need to listen to your body. It's so important. When your body needs rest, just rest. Whereas before I couldn't. I had to do certain things before I could even rest or go to bed. But now I think, okay, everything could wait.
Yes.
My body needs that rest, and I am going to rest and not feel guilty about it. Everything else can wait. And it's working out so much better. There's no guilt. There's no, I'm not overwhelming myself. I mean, some days you do, but you're aware and you're conscious and you're able to like adjust. So it's so important, especially your partners, because it can, I have heard it's at that stage, it's breaking marriages. And there was research and surveys done, ladies around their late 40s and 50s, high divorce rate. And one of the reason was it could be due to the hormonal changes and people are not aware of it. So by even both of us having that conversation and listeners listening, if you could address that, it could be, I know we're not health professionals, but kind of understand that, speak to your spouse about it so that they can understand you as well. Because men, if you don't understand it yourself, how are they going to understand you? So you need to speak to your partner openly about it so that they know the different stages of life and how your body is changing and how your mood is changing, your physical strength, your mental ability. All that is so important to discuss.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had a joke about this with my husband that I don't think it's just women that go through the midlife reboot. I think,
gosh, men.
Men. I think they started much sooner than women, but that's another story in itself. But actually, it's that stage of life, and I think if you're, as you have children and your children reach that age where, for the last 10 years of my life, I've been walking around thinking I'm still 30, and actually I'm no longer 30. And it's only when your child is, going into achieving milestones in their life, they've finished their GCSEs, A levels, they're going to university, they've graduated, you're thinking, hold on a second, I'm aging. I'm actually, no longer that 23-year-old or 25-year-old that I'm imagining myself to be. So that's when you sort of have that, I need to, midlife crisis and realization that actually I'm no longer this spring chicken anymore. And I need to, and there's certain things that you could do when you were 25, and that's, eat at midnight and it not having an effect on you. We can't do that anymore. Our digestive system and our body does not work that way. And there's certain things that we have to, and that's the same with men, and I think we joked about that because I said to my husband, I think we have to stop behaving like we're 25 now, because our body won't digest what we did, when we were 25. So we need to start thinking about exercise differently and, not doing the high cardio, because again, our body's not going to be able to be as resilient as it was 20 years ago. So, we need to start thinking about building strength. So one of the things that I've changed in my life is, I've gone from, I still do cardio, but not the intense cardio that I used to do. But, I've moved on to like doing weights, which has been quite a challenge, but, it's for me, I'm thinking, I always thought if I lift weights, my body is just going to turn into incredible Hulk mode and I'm just going to be so chunky. But actually, you're just building strength. You're building muscles. Strength in your bone. And it's only until I did the research about how important it was, having your own body weight, you're doing resistant exercise against your own body, but then actually physically lifting something where it's, not it's too heavy, you've got to build that strength to be able to lift it and move it in a certain way. It's the resistance that you're building within your bones and within your inner body. And I thought, wow, this is, phenomenal. I wish I had known about this much sooner. I could have worked out a lot differently and addressed things a lot differently. So it's just finding that change and, talking to your spouse about it. You'll find that actually there's a lot of things that they are going through as well. And, I like the way that you emphasize that about having conversation with your partners, because having those conversations, you can then, offload a little bit and it's, oh, I'm feeling this, and vice versa, he'll be doing the same and you'll be doing the same. And then, you can plan things together and, say, okay, let's try and make a change and let's try and eat a bit better. The kids can have what they're having because they're still in their 20s and we're, not there anymore, but let's try it. So it's a journey that you can embrace together and, hopefully try and finding that that balance. Now, I wanted to move over to coping strategies because, believe it or not, the time is just swinging by so fast. And I wanted to talk behind about why you're running this coffee morning on the 30th of June.
That's right, next week Monday.
Yeah. And where is it being held?
It's at Crescent Hall. We're very fortunate to have most of our events at Crescent Hall.
Okay.
Because the founder is actually a male.
Okay.
Asad Ali. He's the owner of Crescent Hall.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons why we are able to hold our events, and that's our first coffee morning we're going to hold at Crescent Hall. So he's actually the founder, and then we've got like few of us that are co-founders. So the coffee morning was for like when we were doing evening events, it was like not everyone could attend. So it's like, what can we do for the ladies that are stay-at-home mom or self-employed or mothers that are not able to come during the evening because of their children and all that. So while their children are in school, they're able to come. So that's one of the reasons why holding that. And, it has been great. There's 40 plus ladies that are coming so far, and we're expecting more. And I think like, what is it? What do the ladies need in our community? So we kind of cater according to that. So we've done like health and fitness, skincare, mental health, business networking, and prior to that we had just socializing, just a dinner date with the ladies, just socializing, getting to know one another. So the coffee morning is going to be about that. It's only a couple of hours, so it's just socializing, getting to know one another, pretty much relax, and just take it from there.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, having that opportunity to allow women to come and talk. So was there a way, can anyone just turn up, or do they need to book?
We are on social media, Facebook, Women Connecting Women, and Instagram, WCW Luton. They can contact us through there, and we'll add them onto our waiting list so that we know how many are attending. We can cater for them. Or they can contact we've got a WhatsApp group as well, so you can link that through the Instagram and Facebook, and we'll add you into our group.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. So that's, a way of joining the morning there, ladies. So yeah, take some time out, have a discussion, meet other ladies that are going maybe through similar journeys or not, just get a heads up on it. I think, I think even if you are not going through the perimenopause or menopause, it's nice to get the heads up on it. I've heard some horrific stories of women that have really struggled, and, it is real out there. And sometimes, like you say, when you read Google and do all the researches, while it does have its plus points, it can be a bit overwhelming. And so again, if you read stories about women going through their menopause and everything, it can be quite scary. So I always suggest and say that it's best to go in a live environment, talk to someone that's really going through it, and hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak, rather than reading it on social media platforms, because you're always going to get very different views and perspectives on it. Now, so you've said you've adopted change, such like exercise and diet, and you're managing it a little bit better. How do you cope with the emotional side of it? Because, do you find that you're getting more emotional and you need to have an outlet a little bit to let those emotions out?
You do get more emotional, you're more sensitive. So how I manage it is I have a lot of strategy in place. So it's like basic just breathing exercises. When I feel that anxiety, just basic breathing exercises. But there is, I'm not going to go into too much detail because there's intense breathing exercises which you can do as well, just to get your nervous system back in place. Meditation, people think you need to be in a really quiet place and just keep breathing for a while until your body kind of adapts to that silent. But it's not. You literally can do it anywhere. As soon as you wake up, in your bed, even if you're in your bedroom, you're going to have cars going past, you're going to have people talking, and it's okay. It's just you meditating for that couple of minutes, just simple breathing exercises. And even my clients, just that breathing exercise, start them off with just a simple breathing exercises. And the next week when I speak to them, they're like, just that breathing exercise has made a huge difference. So it's all these little things that we're not aware of, but it has a huge impact when you start using them daily. So I would suggest meditation, couple of minutes, just simple breathing exercise, morning and before you go to bed. And once you've advanced that, you can go on to, more deeper breathing exercises. Journaling is a must. I can't emphasize how important that is. I think I've messaged you regarding journaling previously as well. So I write if I'm feeling low, if something is bugging me, if something is not aligned with me, I write that down. Why am I feeling like this? What can I change? And you kind of put all your thoughts in writing, and you kind of, it's like therapy.
Offloading, yeah.
You're having therapy sessions by yourself on your own. You're releasing all your thoughts, all that negative thoughts, positive thoughts, positive as well. If you're happy, I'm writing all the things that I'm happy about, my goals, aspirations, all those things. So once you got them out, it's kind of out your system, and you can address it as well. Right? Okay, I'm feeling like this. Why am I feeling like this? Someone may have said something, someone may have hurt you, but then how did you act? All these things, and it shifts your whole perspective. But if you're just holding it, it's like throughout the day, how many thoughts do we have? Thousands of thoughts. And the first thought, obviously you have no control over, but the second thought you do, because you can change that thought. So once you have a negative thought, the second thought you can change. So you change that thought to a positive thought. And when we have a negative thought, then we have another negative thought, and then we have emotions, then we have several emotions. And where is all that emotions getting stored? It's in our system. And that's where all those tension and aches and body ache as well, it's from stress and emotions and all that stress that we're holding, and we don't release it. Once you release those stress, like sometimes when people can say, I'm feeling really heavy on this side of my arm, but this side is fine, or the leg, or even the chest. It's all that stress, that energy that we're holding. And once we release that, you just feel a lot lighter.
Absolutely.
So I do that regular journaling, meditation, breathing exercises, plenty of water. I've started to be active again. I'm aware of my condition because of my arthritis, and I think that arthritis is more to do with perimenopause. So I'm hoping once I've kind of passed that stage, that would kind of
get better.
I'm aware of my slip disc, so okay, I can play netball, but I need to be aware that I'm not jumping and trying to shoot.
It's I guess it's just about becoming in tune with your body and your needs, because everyone's different. I mean, you say you have a slip disc, you've got arthritis, someone going in a similar situation through the perimenopause as yourself, may not have those, but have something else going on in their life. So it's addressing, okay, my body's this going through this, and I know what I can and can't cope with. And and I think this is why I call the show Midlife Reboot, because at every stage of our life we are stopping and saying, right, okay, I'm going to change this now, because I'm no longer a teen, I'm now like a mini adult, and I need to grow up a little bit and start being a bit mature and think about how I spend, how I eat, what I do, how I physically spend money towards myself. And then when you get older, you need to stop and have that, and this is just that you're just stopping at that stage of your life to say, right, okay, I've hit this stage of my life now, these changes are going on, so how am I going to invest in myself? And I think a lot of women at this stage of their life feel like they shouldn't be investing in themselves, because we've still got growing children, and we've still got children that we need to be investing in,
feel guilty.
and the guilt kicks in. But actually, if you're not, and when I spoke to somebody that said to me, if you're not fit enough to do it yourself, if you are physically drained and you are exhausted, but you are trying to give your children 100%, you can't do it. You will break, you will crumble. So you need to take that time out to have that assessment on yourself and say, right, what can I do? And it could be simple things like, I'm going to start every morning, stop thinking about the dishes in the sink or packed lunches that need to be made. I'm going to take that time out and do 10 minutes of yoga, do a bit of stretching, focus on my mind, focus on the bones clicking and getting myself all out in place, and then start my day. It's simple things like that. It's addressing that. I just wanted to mention we have got a message come through from Shazia on the Facebook page. She says, hello, ladies. Menopause is so varied. You're doing a great job at raising awareness on the topic. Women go through so many changes. Absolutely. And that's one of the things I think we fail to, we go through so many changes in our life. As a young child, we into the menstrual cycle, the periods come for the first time, and it's a huge change. Then you have a child, and you've just bore a child into the world. Your body's gone through immense change there. It's those changes that we don't embrace enough, and that's why when we hit our 40s and 50s, we're like, why is our body like this? But think about all the things that have happened before. Now, we also did have a message come from Stephen C on YouTube, who is joined and watching the show as well. So I hope my questions, your questions, have been answered through our discussion earlier about it's all about being aware and having these discussions. Is just letting other women know that it's normal to feel what they're feeling, and not letting anyone suffer in silence. So I think whether you're Muslim, you're not Muslim, having these discussions on these platforms in coffee mornings that are being arranged is only uplifting other women and normalizing it, because these are things that we need to talk about. We talk about all the changes in our life, all the changes that are going on in the world. So why can we not talk about perimenopause or menopause? So I think the question to ask now, when we're only a few minutes away from the show, menopause survival kit. If you had to create one, what are the 3 things you'd put in it?
My journal.
Yes.
If I was to put on it ashwagandha, that helps with anxiety. But again,
get medical advice and that. Yeah.
Advice. But I usually had that for about a month, and then every now and then when I need it, and then I would be like a small spray, water spray, just a spray.
Mist spray.
Yeah,
the face mist.
Yeah.
So listeners, we have just come to the last 40 seconds of the show. Thank you for everyone that has joined. Shazia's just added, menopause shouldn't be looked down upon. It's a time for change and for every lady to bloom in her own way. Shazia, I couldn't have said it any better. Brilliant. I think Hasna, you'd agree with that.
Shazia's part of Women Connecting
Women. Women Connecting Women as well. So we all hope to see you, Shazia, at the coffee morning on Monday, 30th of June, held at Crescent Hall. Just reach out onto the social media platforms for WCW and let the women know that you would be there. And looking forward to see everyone there. I hope the show has
10 o'clock to 11:30.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. 10 o'clock to 11:30.
Present
now,
Hall.
Listeners, I hope that both Hasna and I have alleviated some of the pressure around menopause this morning. And I wish everyone a blessed Friday and a happy weekend. Assalamu alaikum.
Coming up next, Bazminat with brother.